national issues, issues that concern Nigeria, and also that of Ogun State can be heard on the Periscope. The Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio with the host Fisayomi Ajibola every weekdays, Mondays to Fridays, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You won't want to miss it.
Still a wonderful morning from here, and I'm sure it is a beautiful one on the other side, wherever you're watching, Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. And of course, welcome to Periscope, the second edition for the week on this frequency. Of course, on Periscope, this is where we see through and discuss different topical issues ranging from different sector of the country, of course, that affect every citizen. And of course, that is of great concern to give attention to at every point in time. So welcome to Periscope once again on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. My name is MODUPE, AKINYOSOYE. All right, this morning on Periscope, we'll be looking at an incident that happened in Ogun State, but that incident will be discussing that surrounding drug abuse, of course, that led to the incident. Now, drug abuse is emerging as a global public health issue. And the recent World Drug Report 2019 of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, estimated that 271 million, that's 5.5% of the global population aged between 15 and 64 years had used drugs in the previous year. And also, it has been projected that 35 million individuals will be experiencing drug use disorders. And further, the Global Burden of Disease Study 2017 estimated that in 2017 there were 585,000 deaths due to drug abuse globally. And the burden of drug abuse, usage, abuse, and trafficking has also been related to the four areas of international concerns, viz. Organized crime, illicit financial flows, corruption, and terrorism or insurgency. Streamlining it to the country, Nigeria, the burden of drug abuse is becoming a public health concern actually in the country. Nigeria, which is the most populous country in Africa, has developed a reputation as a center for drug trafficking and usage, mostly among youth population. Now, according to the 2018 UNODC report, drug use in Nigeria, the first large-scale nationwide national drug use survey in Nigeria, 1 in 7 persons aged 15 to 64 years had used a drug in the past year, and also 1 in 5 individuals who had used drug in the past year is suffering from drug-related disorders. And drug abuse has been a cause of many criminal offenses, which we actually now see the result of that, such as theft, such as burglary, such as sex work and shoplifting. And of course, findings from epidemiological studies on drug abuse in Nigeria has demonstrated that the burden of drug abuse is still high, despite the existing drug laws, policies, and strategies for prevention. And of course, like I mentioned, that an incident that happened in Ogun State of a 32-year-old man who strangulated his mother in Ogun State. Okay, Samson Sikiru said to be a drug addict on Sunday, allegedly strangulated his mother to death in Ijebu-Ode area of Ogun State. And the suspect's younger brother, who is a night guard, raised the alarm after he returned from night duty and discovered that his mother had been murdered. And it was learnt that Samson was arrested when neighbors discovered that he was behind the death of his mother and subsequently handed him over to the police. And of course, the source explained that the suspect had been a drug addict, saying that he fled home. That was 5 years, 5 years ago, before he returned recently. And also confirming the incident, the police public relations officer in Ogun State, in person of Omotola Odutola, said the command is aware of the incident. Now, we'll be looking at different issues, of course, of which drug abuse can actually cause, which it has been seen in our society, especially among youth, committing crimes such as theft, such as killing, such as different criminal activities. And of course, the rate at which youth are becoming addicted to illicit drugs nowadays, especially in the country Nigeria, has reached an alarming state. And what would the country be like if 40% of underage youths are already into drug abuse and drug trafficking and everything that has to do with hard drugs? Of course, we'll be discussing the prevalence of drug abuse in Nigeria and the negative impact on public health and safety. And of course, the preventive measures, what are the things that we can put in place? We have agencies that actually started with responsibility of, reducing this rate, so to say. How effective has these agencies been doing? And of course, what are the steps or what are the things that should also be giving cognizance of or giving attention to reduce drastically the rates of drug abuse, especially among youth in the country? And of course, I have with me, seated in the studio, a seasoned journalist, political pundit, of course, an expertise in what he does, in person of Oluwafisayomi Ajibola. Good morning. Good to have you this morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, of course, you heard of the 32-year-old man that strangulated his mother to death, a drug addict, so to say, and of which family members and even the brother, testified to the fact that he's a drug addict, and of which, in a sane climb, a sane human cannot, strangulate or commit crime if is not under influence of something or the other. But I would like to ask, first of all, let's start with your view on the rate of drug abuse among youth, especially in the country.
Well, thank you. It is alarming, the abuse of drugs in our society these days, especially among the youth. It's not, drug abuse is not new. Back in the days, several years ago, you only see it among the aged. But now, between the age of 13 to less than 40, you see them abusing drugs. It's sad that even in secondary schools, you see boys and girls who already know how to use drugs, how to abuse drugs. And in this context, if we are talking about drugs, we are talking about those ones that are hard drugs or not what is an over-the-counter prescriptions like codeine, heroin, marijuana,
Colognes.
Yes, just like that. Tramadol.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you check the social media has been awash with different videos of young guys and girls who have acted under the influence of alcohol, probably misbehaving. I think sometimes last week, we saw the video of a young boy who, after being on drug, went to hug a transformer, and where he died. And we've even seen several. One few days ago also about a boy who was hitting his head against an electricity pole. What all this means is that we are lacking or suffering from something in our society. Youth are supposed to be the change and development agents, but unfortunately, the reverse is the case. We have youths who we cannot say they are the leaders of tomorrow again in our society. The abuse of drugs is very, very alarming. If you sit at a fun spot, you would ordinarily be looking at them as, responsible little children, as in youths. Because what would you see? You will see soft drinks on their table, not even beer. With you citing soft drink, you will think they are cultured. But unfortunately, that soft drink has been mixed with several things. You cannot meet a youth on the road and say, "Oh, I saw juice in that bottle you are holding. Can I take out of it?" If you're not careful, you
You're
are going
taking
to run.
something else.
You are going to run and leave your car behind because you won't know what you're doing. See, I will always shift the blame to governance. You
Okay.
said leadership starts from the table. We have set of people who are not exemplary. Sets of leaders who are not exemplary to this youth. And we are, from different angles, encouraging this art. Let's start from the music industry. You see music videos where people are taking drugs, smoking, and nothing is happening. You ask yourself, where is our government agency that is supposed, or that is saddled with the responsibility of monitoring what should be seen by the public? But the reverse is the case. It's not being done. You see them smoking, doing all sorts of things in the music video.
Aside from the leadership factor, so to say, because you're already going into the factors responsible for drug abuse in our society, nowadays, you get to hear stories that if you go to a birthday party now, among youth, you attend, party, maybe they organize party, and then they cook food, the drink they serve there, you have to verify the content.
Even the food.
The food, you have to verify the I heard a report of a particular party. I think it was Nemi, or I can't remember what party it was, but they recorded that almost all the people that ate from the party went nuts. Some they were reported that, I think they recorded death of particular numbers of persons. Our system differ depending on your system, what you can take in. Now, and you earlier alluded that drug abuse was not rampant among youth. It was people of old age, or that are aged, so to say. What would you, apart from leadership, what are the other factors that are responsible for the emergence of this uncontrolled rate of drug abuse among youth?
Okay, like you said, you did make example of party. That turns out to be peer pressure. Among youth, some see their friends using it, and the way the friend will come out to boast about the after effect of the drug will make some to be like, what if I? Or when being invited, the person will jump at it. Some is out of curiosity, like, they are talking about this. What if I try it? And some, the economic situation of the country had made some people to engage, instead of working few hours, they work they can work 24 hours. To have that energy,
to do that, to carry out that,
so that they can earn a living, they go as far as taking illicit drugs. I've heard I interacted with a boy who said he works as a laborer in a site, about 2 sites every day. I said, how do you manage it? He said, there is one that the site is with portion. That if like 4 trucks dropped sound, you're expected to pack the sound, you fill into the building. That if you are done, if you like, you can do the job in 1 hour. If you're done, you are done for the day and you get your money. And he said with that, he has to take drugs so that when he finishes with this, he'll collect his money and go to another site the same day to go and do the same thing or something closer to him a living. Look at that guy. That guy would never function without drug. He would never. And the more he's into it, the harder it is for him to pull out of it. Because the addiction in drugs, it's second to none. If you are drinking, if you are the type that gives yourself out too much to alcohol, after a while, if it's ordinary, After a while, you will call yourself to order when you know that you are becoming a nuisance in the society. But to drugs, it is a big issue. Now, another factor, parenting. There are some parents who do not even know their children. They don't even know what the child is capable of doing or what that child is not. I have sat beside a married man right there in his living room, and we're having alcohol mixed with a soft drink. But I found out that this man will always put it under the table. But
the alcohol.
but the soft drink and our cups on the table. The wife came back from church and said, you should saw me. So we saw a commercial on TV and I like advertising alcohol. And that was where I got the surprise of my life. And the wife said, thank God, my husband does not take alcohol. And I was like,
Unknowingly to her that alcohol is under the table.
Even if she does not taste out of what we are drinking, can she perceive it? My assumption. I wanted to talk, but the husband started drinking at me, which I shut up. When she moved out, I said, guy, your wife does not know you drink? He said, yes. And you've been drinking for years. Now, that's husband and wife. Now, children. The parents most times are too busy to observe when the attitude of their child changes. And alcohol, drugs rather, the moment that child is taking drugs, the child would like to be isolated. That child will want to go and sit on his or her own. There has been a report about a lady, I think it was one of these newspapers that reported it, about a young lady, a secondary school girl, who sells drugs. You cannot sell drugs if you don't know what it's used for or how it's being used. And this girl sells drugs, secondary school girl, maximum age 14. And she sells drugs. Now, let's talk about our agencies, security agencies. One of them saddled with the responsibility of civic matters includes the police. Now, police, if you take such a child to that police station, the parents will not be ashamed to go there and bail that child, and they will cover it up. So those are some of the factors responsible, and negligence of the government, as I always say. Because if proper care is put in place by the government, it will not take long before we identify somebody who is abusing drugs. It won't take long. Some pharmacy, if you walk into it, they will tell you that this drug, you can only purchase it with doctor's prescriptions. But with a tip, the attendant there will sell it to that on that, knowing that there is not even doctor's prescription to it. That is a factor. And that is morals. Now, in government, to those government officials, our leaders, they understand that drug abuse is rampant. They quite know. Because the United Nations were in charge of crime and drugs abuse, did a survey. That survey you did, there was one that was streamlined to Nigeria, where they said about 14.4% of Nigerians, about 14 million Nigerians, who are between the age of 15 to 64 are doing drugs. And this is 2019.
And we have an increased rate already.
Because,
from 2019 to 2023.
Our population is densely populated with youth. And these people, this set of youth, do not even see anything wrong in flaunting it. Have you checked social media and see the way young boys and girls will be taking drugs and they'll be recording it and posting it because they know that their father and mother do not have access to it. But what about their relationship, their relatives?
For those that post it online, because we have agencies like the NDLEA, we have NAFDAC, and we have other agencies that go against all of this. Are they not criminal acts for you to engage in drug and even post it online and put it out there?
Good. I like that part you came from. the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is to check out for those who are trafficking drugs,
Okay.
or those who are making drugs, who have factories where they produce drugs for the society. And a part of the assignment is also to arrest, with the aid of other security agencies, anybody who is abusing drugs. Now, you will see these people going after those who are trying to travel with drugs. Mostly, few times you hear of stories about drugs where what is it called? Counterfeit drugs are being manufactured. You hear stories of them busting the place.
Where else is?
But the question I always ask those who care to listen, what about our celebrities who will post videos with drugs, not cigarettes? Because we know the shape of cannabis, marijuana, away from that of cigarettes. And they will have it just by the side of their mouth and be flaunting whatever the habits, which invariably is going to be passing the message. Don't forget that these celebrities are most times opinion formers. Those vulnerable
influencers.
Youths, yes, those vulnerable youths who look up to them, in no time they will want to start doing things like them, and doing what they are doing.
Of course, because most of them believe that whatever they see them do, they can also do. They accept everything that they do.
Now, what I don't know is, sometimes ago, an artist, Naira Marley, was picked for smoking online. He did a live video where he was dishing out giveaways, and that was probably 2017 or 2018. That was the first time I heard of them coming after somebody who had abused drugs on social media. After that, I've not heard anyone. While the guy was trying to get over the issue, another one came during COVID, where he went to do a show during COVID, and that, in one way or the other.
So do you see a foul play even in the agencies that are supposed to be at the aims of affair of arresting and making sure that drug abuse is not rampant in the society? Do you even see them as even being involved in the act?
That is where I
because it's just like a case of
they are
I'm
always,
doing the same thing.
They are always involved. I have traveled the road, going to one eastern state, and on the road when we saw checkpoint, we saw a policeman smoking our drugs, and we look at it like, and to the man, we will not talk. We cannot talk, because if the man gets angry and fire
can do anything.
Gunshot at us, we will be leaving to tell others that this was what we saw. So instead, we laughed. I said, "Okay, well done." He said, well done. What else do you want to say? We cannot say anything. See, this issue of drug abuse, I think the best way that the government can go about it is to have sensitization programs. Massive one. And whoever it is that faulted the law or being caught with it, let there be judgments that will be publicized so that it will serve as a guide or example to others that if you do this, this is what you will experience. It's so sad that some youth, after watching somebody who gets knocked after taking Colorado, and what they will say is, he did not eat before taking it. He did not this before. They will be making an excuse why it happened to that person. Which shows that if they ate before taking it, it will not happen.
I was actually going to say that, because most times when we see videos of the result of taking this hard drug and all of that, how it reacts in the body, and even the report from this 32-year-old guy, it was reported that they occasionally tied down the guy with ropes to prevent him from injuring himself or anyone. These are things that happen. That people see, that the outcome or the result of you taking this and having a contact with your system, of which some people don't, some of them don't even are not conversant with the way their system works. So now we all see the side effects of all of this. Are they not strong enough? Are they not a strong indication enough to stay away from taking it, from the intake?
There are. How many? Okay, like that boy in that report who eventually killed his mother. It's obvious that that wasn't the first time that even the mother might be seeing the boy on eye drops. But what has the mother done? We have rehab centers. Have you walk up to them and say, I have a boy who's abusing drugs. Please give me 1 or 2 persons to follow me so that we'll confirm. And police will follow them. They will confirm and pick the person up and see how they can rehabilitate the person.
But our rehabilitation, okay, when you're done with your submission.
The rehabilitation centers are functioning
effectively.
The issue is it's not affordable.
Okay.
Because they will not do it like into your loan and help me and rehab this person. No. If you want them to rehab the person, you pay as if you are going to a regular clinic.
It comes with a cost.
It comes with a cost. And some of them will like, and the money, most times these drugs are not very cheap. There are cheaper ones. But those ones that usually get them high, if you look at the amount of money these boys invested on it, in buying it, you ask yourself, does this really worth it? Now, to the rehab centers, they are there. They are at least averagely equipped to work. But there is always this stigmatization against whoever has gone to rehab center to come back.
But actually, we have NGOs, we have some platform that they work with ex-drug users.
Yes.
That they come out to share their experience, to remove that stigma.
It's because they don't want that stigma to go with that person into the society. Because from this part of the world, Africa, we frown at it. And it does not take us anything before we start giving the person cold shoulder. Instead of us to embrace the person back. I've had an example of somebody who went to rehab and he came back. And, somebody who knows him was the one narrating the story. Like, when he came back, he came visiting his mom. At least to appreciate the mom's role towards, while he was at the rehab center. And he said to him, he was not comfortable the way the boy was laughing. That he laughed at virtually everything. So he called his mother behind and said, give him gapo. Not him to stand up and wear the stool on your head. This was somebody. And he's human. He would see the body language from those people. And that is stigmatization. We are not saying you should not be careful with such person. But you don't do it to the extent that the person will know. So drug abuse has eaten so much into the so-called leaders of tomorrow that we have. And I wonder when would they lead with the way these things are going. Even those there are some in government too who are leaders who rub shoulders with these people or sometimes buy these drugs for them, probably when they needed them to do another assignment for them. Like during election. They give them money, smoke, drink, go and disrupt the election process. So we should start from who has the more responsibility, and that is the government. Can you curb the amount of drugs in circulation? Can you check how does this drug get into our society? If you block where it's coming from, they will not be able to see it.
But do you see any change anytime soon as regards, the drastic reduction in drug abuse? Because in the society, then you say that drug abuse, drug usage, and trafficking used to be a thing of abomination, seen as abomination.
While I was in university, if you want to smoke marijuana or even cigarette, you go inside the bush.
But reverse is
You
the
go
case.
inside the bush.
That's not what
So
we
that-
have now.
Yeah, so that when by the time you walk back to town, the smell will be reduced. Or there are some that when going even into that bush, they will go with body spray. Well, after taking that thing, they will use the body spray to bath. That you will not perceive it. Gone are those days. Now, little boys flaunt it. They flaunt it. Go to marketplaces, those dark parts of the market, you will see them sitting there, smoking all sorts of drugs and drinking all sorts. It's so bad in our society that a drink was formed after drug. And they sell it in the public, in the open. And the package is, they call it squish. And everybody is drinking it.
Is it that particular drink?
And everybody is drinking it. And
They
nobody is
package
saying
it the way that you think you're taking maybe something like Chapman or soft
They
drink.
yes, they don't-
Unknowingly
they sell
that
it in the open.
there's a content.
And when security agencies want probably to make money when going on, they will just stop there, pick up the seller. After that one will look for something, tip them, and they will go. Should that be allowed to be sold in the public? No, because several content has been mixed. It is a drug, hard drug that should not be allowed in our society. So that's why I said we should look at the government has the responsibility first. The one before you talk about the one in the society, look for how do I block the one coming into the society. Can we reduce or put a total blockage to how it's coming into our country? One. Two, now let's look, how do we mop the one in the country, in our community already? Then start putting strategy in places where you can start picking those who owns it, get who use it, from who use it, where do they buy it from? It's a chain business. You can't do it in isolation. You can't be the one importing it. You can't be the one selling it. You can't be the one using it. So if the government is serious about it, but unfortunately, we don't see it as a big issue yet. We don't. See these artisans, the mechanics, the electrician, and co, who learn this trade. They have apprentices who learn from them. These days, there are no young apprentices again. Those boys are not ready to learn anything. They prefer to go into internet fraud, smoke all kind of hard drugs, drink all kind of hard drugs, and live their life. Now, in the next 5 years, most of us will not be able to go about with our cars. Because whenever anything happens to it, we do not have to take it to. Because the older ones are getting older and getting weaker. So how many of these young ones are there? Some years back, we are even preaching again, allow your children to go to school. Don't go and put them where they are learning at tender age. We change the narrative. Now they are going there. They are going to school. In school, they have learned how to smoke all kind of drugs. Are they ready to learn anything? The school, they don't know anything about it. It's just sheer waste of time. You will see a boy in school, after 1 week, bring your notebook. You will not see one single assignment. Because he has not attended any class. Would it not have been better if that boy has been put in a carpenter shop? Or a workshop? Another artisan's workshop where he can learn something. At least to be useful for himself. But unfortunately, we are building irresponsible youth.
Yes.
Which in no time will translate to irresponsible adults.
All right, of course, we are still talking about the prevalence of drug abuse in the country, Nigeria, and of course the impact, negative impact in public health and safety on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Periscope is the program, and of course I still have with me Luwafisayomi Ajibola. Before we run it up this morning, let's talk about addiction. I've seen cases and I've seen scenarios of some set of persons where when they gift them with money, even with this economy, when they gift them with money, the only thing they use the money to do is to purchase a drug. And you ask yourself, you have not eaten. Somebody that you don't even care about, and there are some that they have families. They have both immediate family and extended family to take care of. But when they are gifted with money, or the money that they even from maybe from sale of whatever, they purchase a drug of which it signals addiction. What do you think can be done? I think you mentioned rehabilitation, but not everybody can go for rehabilitation.
Everybody can go if you can afford it. Everybody can go. But also, let our society, parents, religious leaders, traditional leaders, let them be at alert about what is happening in our society. If any youth has been apprehended to say he's doing drugs, don't cover him. Don't say because I know him from here, whatever. Don't. No.
Even before apprehension, we know ourselves. In my estate or where I live, I know somebody that is into drugs. So
okay, good. That is it. You know it's bad, but you don't have the boldness to report. Because if you do report and those boys get to know that you are the one who reported them, you won't live in that community again. So what do? You keep quiet. But unfortunately, if those boys can be reported and the police do their job of, okay, we got a whistleblower, without mentioning the identity of the whistleblower, go there, confirm such incident takes place, and apprehend them. I know of a town where when the Oba was installed, there is a popular junction in that area where if you want to buy all kind of drugs in this world, just come to that junction.
And of course, people there are people that are going there.
It's in Ogun State. Everybody will go to that junction. Most people come from Lagos to come and buy drugs in that junction. But when that Oba came, you cannot see even those who sells wares. He chased everybody away. The only people you will see there now are naval officers who are 100% manning that place. And it's been like that for over 2 years now. Why? The king knows that I cannot have those people in my community. And he chased them off.
To cause different havoc in the society later, now or later.
How many kings, how many chiefs can pick up that example to say, I want to do it in my society? So because of fear, of they won't favor me again. When I have issues, I can call on them. Because if you don't need them, why do you keep them? That means you are doing something illegal that you know that you will always need them. So what? So it's better we start from our community. When you see those drug users, those who abuse drugs, don't hesitate to open it up. Open the lid. Let them know these are the people doing it. Leave it to the security. Don't let them know. Sometimes ago, I did a program on radio talking about drugs that people should start mentioning where they stay and where they have miscreants. Well, boys who come in the public to smoke all kind of drugs. The phone battle went dead.
Because people...
With millions of calls. He was just coming, our junction is so place. Our junction is so place. One of the most funny, I would say funny, was when somebody called and said, by the barrack wall, that is where they sit to smoke. The army barrack wall. Let's assume they don't see them. Are they not perceiving what is coming from them? Now, who are those smoking? By the barrack wall.
Barrack wall.
So for you to know how much this thing has eaten to our society, the government is not seeing it as a big issue yet. But when they have, a bill was passed, not too young to rule. Where are the youths to rule? Where are they? So if we do not start giving attention to our youth, no country can develop without the input of the youth. If you don't build responsible youth, you will now have responsible leaders tomorrow.
All right, rounding it up, but I would like to ask your final advice to family, to the society, to the government, and of course to everybody, every stakeholder. Let me put it that way.
Yes, that's the word. Every stakeholder. We have the family, the parents as stakeholders. We have the assemblies as stakeholders. We have the government agencies as stakeholders, the traditional chiefs, the
Religious leaders,
yes, they are
society.
all stakeholders. We are all stakeholders in this. Whenever we identify any person who is on drug, don't hesitate to call the person to order. Tell the person. Give the person the kind of soft warning you think you can give. If you know that the person is wild, don't give the person any advice. If the person is wild, report to agencies, security agencies, who will pick that person up. But make sure that your finding is right. You're not just speculating. You're not just speculating. Not that. It's so bad that it has become accepted that I saw a boy smoking one tiny substance, and I said, they are smoking Igbo. He said, no, this one is Jedi. Who is Jedi? The Jedi I know is Agbo Jedi, which is always a liquid substance. So they have modified and brainwashed them that there is another thing. After smoking it, it will cure Jedi. You see the way, the extent our society has become deteriorated. So we need information. We need to let these people. There are some people who hawk the so-called concussion herb, who sells drugs.
In disguise of selling.
Yes, of selling herbs. So we need to be vigilant. Every stakeholder needs to be vigilant. Don't feel shy to report. If you are suffering from hard drugs, share it with those adults who can help you out so that you can get over the habit of abusing drugs.
Thank you so much. Of course, we have been with Oluwafisayomi Ajibola, a seasoned journalist, and of course, political pundit. This morning talking about drug abuse, the prevalence of drug abuse in the country, and of course the impact. The conversation definitely does not stop here. You can always drop your comments, always drop your opinion, your submission, just the comment section of this video, and don't forget to subscribe, turn on your alarm, and you get notification of more of our programs on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Our social media is also open, always for you to follow us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course to get some more of our content right here on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Thank you so much this morning on Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. I remain MODUPE. AKINYOSOYE. Have a fantastic day.